back, everyone. My name is Meg Kruger. I'm the content specialist for Pioneer, and you are joining us live at SFMA 2022. But more importantly, we're joined by Nick Pappas. We're very excited to ask him about the ins and outs of field conversions. So I'm going to let you take it away, give us a little intro, little breakdown, backstory, life story, whatever feels good for you.
All right, that's a tough one to start on. Well, so I'm Nick Pappas. I'm our head groundskeeper and conversions manager at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, home to Atlanta Falcons, home to Atlanta United MLS club, and a plethora of other events, whether it be sporting events or concerts or private events or dirt shows or whatever you can think of. If it can go inside a building, we have it. And that means for us that no matter what one event brings, we've got to convert it to another event. A lot of that time obviously comes into a sports to sports. And then a lot of the time it's kind of all kinds of different things. So I started with the Falcons and Mercedes-Benz Stadium in 2018. Shortly after the building opened, found my way from South Florida, where I used to work for the Dolphins, Marlins, and have kind of spent some time in the different professional leagues, and have been enjoying it so far. And learning a lot at a building like Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
So did you ever imagine that this was going to be such a huge element of your sports turf career?
No.
That's what I would assume you would have said.
Yeah, absolutely not. Especially being, kind of somewhat stereotypical, like a lot of the guys in the industry, a quote unquote natural grass guy. Coming to this side of the industry, and I shouldn't even call it this side of the industry. Coming to this part of the industry where I'm managing a synthetic surface and getting into all these, high-level conversions from MLS to NFL to NCAA, dealing with removing Super Bowl fields and some of these massive events and big games. No, I did not expect it, but it's been a blessing, and it's been fun to be a part of.
What does that learning curve looked like? I mean, in 2018 was like your first on the ground experience with that?
Obviously a lot of time on natural grass fields at the NFL level and MLB level, so I had a lot of experience with painting and getting fields ready. The removal process was certainly a curve, right? So I had to get in and say, okay, so now we've got a football field. All right, what does it take to get rid of it? That's when I was introduced to the glorious P-Rex. Which is, I'm lucky enough to have.
Are you the captain of that ship?
I try my best to not drive them, in all honesty. I've got an amazing crew that probably can operate them all better than I can. But for me, it's, let's get it out there, get it done. And really, I owe that to the crew.
Well, that leads me to my next question. Really, what does the crew look like in a standard conversion? Like, what are you guys working with?
From a grounds perspective, strictly, when we're talking about just the actual field component, on any given conversion night, if we're going MLS to NFL, call it maybe a 3:30 kick on Saturday to a 1 p.m. kick on Sunday, we're looking at 15 grounds dedicated individuals. On top of that, we've got maybe 50 plus conversions dedicated individuals in our stadium, dealing with removal of pitch LED boards, static boards, benches, moving in retractable seats and corners, things like that. So there's a lot of elements in our stadium that make it go from feeling like a true MLS stadium to a true NFL stadium. Obviously the field and the pitch being one of them, but that's only one component that we get to kind of sink our teeth into on those nights. So on any given night, not including the housekeeping and everything that goes into it, you've got, maybe 70 individuals that are in the lower bowl working around the field getting things set up.
So walk us through like a standard timeline when you're going from MLS to a Falcons game.
So for us,
no sleep, I assume.
Typically no sleep. Absolutely. Many nights spent at the stadium, not ever sleeping. Maybe.
Did you ever bunk with Kanye when he was there?
Did not bunk with Kanye. He was our house guest for 3.5 weeks.
Insane.
And added a whole nother element, something again that I never expected. But no, so for us, it's, so when the final whistle blows on an MLS match, first thing is, we got to try and wait for families and things like that to kind of wrap up. So there's usually like a 45-minute window, maybe an hour, before we can actually get out on the field and start doing what we need to do. And that's going to be removing goals, breaking down LED boards, breaking down static boards, taking team benches off, because our MLS benches are different from our NFL benches. Starting to push those retractable corners out and deploy them for an NFL look so that the seats are closer to the out of bounds. It's just there's a lot of things happening at once. Some of them take a long time, some of them are quick. P-Rexes are hitting the field. Usually we'll run about 3 to try and knock out a soccer pitch in maybe an hour or so, get that cleaned up, try and get a groom on it, and then go from there and start laying out our lines, pulling string lines, measuring things, just really getting the whole football grid set up and going. Usually we've gotten it down to a science. I like to think we have anyways.
Yep.
Like I said, I've got an amazing team. Everybody starts clicking and knows what they're doing, knows where they're going. We've got a lot of game planning that we're doing. You know, Parker, my assistant, and I, we spend a lot of time talking about what our overnight conversion is going to look like. Jasmine, my assistant on the conversion side, she's game planning. So we take a lot of time into that, and if you've got a good game plan, you can get it done, and we're usually done in about 10 hours. So 10 hours from the end of kick to the time we're ready for visiting teams to come, take on and put on their sidelines and load in, we're about 10 hours.
And how many times a season are you guys having to do that typically?
For an MLS to NFL, we're looking at maybe 3 or 4.
Okay.
Or I should say MLS to maybe NCAA, NCAA to NFL.
Yep.
The actual sporting conversions, I'd say 3 or 4. The rest of them are going to be maybe loading in for concerts right on the back end of a game where we got to put a flooring out immediately. Our crew, we own a full field covering system that we deploy. We've got a third-party partner that comes in and helps us with some of the supervision and management of that floor. But ultimately, it's mostly our crew that's laying that floor and getting that done as well. So just another kind of conversion aspect of going from event to event in this event stadium.
So you talk about your crew a lot, and I'm sure that's a really important element to make sure that culture is strong and you guys can really rely on each other. I also saw that you are hiring, so shout out to anybody that wants to link up with you here. But more importantly, what really goes into cultivating that kind of culture when you know that you have overnight conversions going to be happening in the season, long hours? What really, because you're the head of that.
Yeah, it's grueling. So, I mean, look, a lot of it too and I've got a lot of crew that's been doing it a long time, so it's not new to them. But when we're hiring and we're doing an interview process, for me, transparency is number one, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to work nights, you're going to work weekends, you're going to work through the night, you're going to work holidays, you're going to work a very unorthodox schedule, you're going to work a lot.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what it is at a stadium like ours. If that's not for you, no problem. This isn't the place for you.
Yep.
But for those who say they want to take that on and come be a part of the team, we welcome that.
Yeah.
And you have to want to do it to actually be out there and
you have to be
deal
a
with
level
that.
of crazy,
you really
I'm
want,
sure.
yeah, you definitely do. But then from there, it's about game planning and talking with the crew and listening to them, spending as much time as I can personally, boots on the ground. I try to get involved in as much of it as I can and make sure that I've done every task. It's kind of the cliches. You got to be able to do it and talk to it, so that the crew's going to, feel that, you love them and that you're part of it. I'm not a manage from afar kind of guy. I like to manage side by side with the guys and girls that are out there. And then a lot of it's just, it's creating a mental block on it, right? And saying, look, guys, we've got a 26-hour shift coming up. We know we're going to come in at 8 a.m. before our MLS match, and we know we're going to be here till tomorrow after the Falcons game. So we're talking maybe 26, 34-hour shifts.
Okay, so yeah,
long
when you said
stretches.
10, I didn't understand that
So
that's
10,
just the conversion.
10's just the conversion.
Okay,
yeah,
wow,
that's
so
10 hours
26
start to finish. So
hours.
we'll try and, if we've got enough depth, we'll try and stagger it where maybe we've got some crews come in early and leave earlier than the others.
Yep.
There's certain individuals, myself, my assistants, some of our leads, they're not leaving.
Yep.
They're coming in early. They're working the whole match.
Yep.
They're working through the night, getting things set up, and they're sticking around and working through the Falcons game. And hopefully we're getting out of there by 5 p.m. the next day at some point.
Incredible.
So it's some long stretches, but a lot of it is talking ahead of time and saying, look, guys, we know we're in for a long haul, right? This isn't going to be easy. It's not going to be fun. We're hopefully going to hit our marks where we know that we're making good progress, and we know kind of certain staples of where we're supposed to be throughout the night. Sometimes you feel like you're behind. Sometimes you feel like you're crushing it.
Yeah.
Either way, it's a marathon through and through. So you can't start out too hot, and you just kind of got to stay steady.
Definitely.
But throughout the night, it's all about, and throughout the season, it's checking on everybody. Hey, are you getting out? Are you putting in your vacation time? Are you getting out of the building? Do you need to be here? And I ask my assistants that all the time, like, do you need to be here right now? Because if you don't, get out of here.
Yep.
Like, we spend so much time together. We spend so much time in the building trying to manage all these events that you got to get away from the building.
Yep.
If you're at your best outside, you'll be at your best inside the building.
So true.
That's kind of where I try to drive culture from.
Yeah, and that sounds like it's effective for you guys, for sure.
We've found some success
Yep.
so far, but there's always room for improvement too.
Of course. So tell me, like, of one conversion, maybe in the last season, or something that's been, stayed in your mind for the last couple seasons that you guys were really proud of. Something that, it motivates you for the next conversion that you have to do.
I think for us, that one goes back. It's an easy one. So COVID comes, right, and creates a whole new landscape for everyone to operate in. So because of the lack of college games last year, they pushed the SEC championship to a late kick.
Okay.
So we had SEC championship. I think it was a 7 or 8 p.m. kick, and we had a Falcons 1 o'clock the next day.
Fun.
That morning or the day prior, we were testing 48 hours out for our Falcons game. Half my crew popped positive for COVID, or pardon me, one individual popped positive, and then due to contact tracing, we lost half our crew.
Yeah.
So now we're going into our tightest conversion of football to football of the season, and we've got half a crew.
Wow.
So midnight, Florida versus Alabama ends, and we had to get to it and be ready for, I think, the Bucks versus the Falcons at 1 o'clock. And it was just, I felt good still going into it. I knew where we could make some adjustments to create some more efficiencies and cut down our timeline a little bit. Sitting with our COO of the stadium, he's asking me, are we good? Are we going to be able to do it? Are we going to be able to get it done? Explaining some of those, hey, this is what we're going to do a little bit different. This is what we're going to do different over here. Just find those little cheats if you can to gain you back some time. And I felt good. I think the rest of the stadium was nervous.
Yeah.
I think they all were like, Nick's usually good and gets us to where we need to be. Let's see if he can pull this one off. And again, kudos to the crew, those who were able to be there. Those who didn't were texting me all night, just bummed that they couldn't be a part of it, which goes back to how happy I am with our culture.
Of course.
When I've got guys who are legitimately upset that they can't be there to help out the guys with them and be a part of that, that makes me feel good. So, but that was one of our tightest, one of our more nerve-wracking, just because there was some variables at play that no one had dealt with.
Of course.
You never expect to all of a sudden lose half your crew because of some contact tracing. But that was the reality of 2020 and into 2021, and we're still battling it in ways.
And hopefully we're all stronger for it in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the last question I'll hit you with, looking into the future, events is going to become, it already has become in many ways a huge element of the job. Any advice or things that you see really playing a role in the future with it becoming even more of an impact?
My advice to my assistants, my team, anybody that I talk to is we need to start to understand the business model of these buildings. So the days of sport-specific facilities are gone.
Yep.
Now we're going to build amazing facilities, and we're going to have as many events of all varieties that we can. So you look at Globe Life Stadium in Arlington for the Rangers. That's a brand new MLB facility that was designed with so much more than MLB in mind. You look at our building, you look at Allegiant in Las Vegas, SoFi in LA, out in Minnesota. All these stadiums now are expensive. I mean, we're a $1.8 billion facility.
No joke.
We've got a $500 million roof or whatever you want to, whatever the price tag is on it.
$1 million athletes.
Yeah, well, of course. And the expectation is that we're going to be able to keep those doors open like a factory. So if we're not working 3 shifts, that means we don't have enough people coming in the building. So understanding that business model and understanding that these events aren't going anywhere. For 2022, we're seeing a huge resurgence in concerts. I think we've got 9 or 10 concert days already on our books.
Wow.
That's on top of, at least 17 MLS games, 10 NFL games, 5 college football games. We'll have at least 40 major ticketed events.
Wow.
And more will pop out through the year. And when you're talking 52 weekends in a year, that means we're busy every weekend throughout the year. So that's not going anywhere. Understanding that business model, understanding that the field it's there for use, both for the players, both for the ownership, both for other events. If we're not using it, then we're going to have bigger problems. But these new facilities, they want events. They want that put through the door. And I don't think it's going anywhere.
And there's plenty of event management careers, even if you're not sports turf related, that this will really fulfill that need as well. So
absolutely.
It's opportunities everywhere.
There's a village that works in these stadiums. We've got a very deep major events team, private events team. We've got tours teams, conversions, housekeeping, all of our shops and engineering. There's so many avenues within these facilities. Creates a ton of jobs, a lot of opportunity, and there's a lot of job security with how many events we have. We know that we don't get an off season. So this is our off season right now. We're replacing our field. It needs to be done by February 7th.
Yep, I saw that.
And then we've got our first MLS match February 27th. We've got a private concert prior to that. So, our February is already booked up.
Yeah.
And when I look through March, April, May, all the way through the rest of the year, my wife's already trying to plan all my vacations for her. She's the real MVP of any success I've had.
True.
She looks at our entire calendar. As soon as MLS schedule comes out, she starts plotting things. And I got to tell her, we're going to have NFL schedule come out. As soon as that comes out, we pretty much have all of our dates. And she's like, all right, can we take this weekend? We need to get away. We need to do vacation on this. We've got this on this. And we kind of piece together our year. And it's helpful, but that means my entire 2022 is already booked.
And we can all follow along with it at Nick Pappas on Twitter.
Yep.
I mean, the content that you're putting out is just, even on the base level, educational for anyone that follows along. So I thank you for that, and I thank you for doing this.
Of course, yeah.
So eloquent, and if this is your break and this is how you're spending it, I apologize. But we appreciate your time.
This is great to come to this and see people all the time and get to see all you guys and everything. So I appreciate you guys having me on, and look forward to a busy season and a continued partnership and bright lines on the field.
We love it.
Awesome.
Thank
cool.
you.
Thanks.